I'm going to speak to some specific components of each of the age groups because they are all subtly different. As I said, they have different focuses. So the 15 and a halves, this is the first time at this level. They were previously 16s and there were two teams. So now that's dropped down to 15 and a halves and just a single team. It's what we have is a mix of 2 and 1 day matches that we're playing on that we understand will be played, and we're expecting a standalone T20 competition to be played in December and January. The squad currently is 18. There are 13 primary squad members and 5 development players. Now, what that essentially means is that the development players are not guaranteed playing matches. There's likely they may not play, but they'll certainly be getting all the other experiences that they'll have that they'll be able to utilise as being part of the squad. The players are going to be prioritised on their primary skill. We get there'll be a limited number of all-rounders. At this point, we get to the point where not every player can be an all-rounder, and it doesn't mean that their secondary skill isn't good or that they can't develop that skill, but we need to focus on other mechanisms to develop it. It could be community cricket, it could be school cricket, or it could just be training, but not everybody's unfortunately can bat and bowl at the top of the order. This grade will definitely be looking at greater player input into what we do. They'll take more ownership of their training sessions with their coaches' help. We'll also look to have them have some player input in their captaincy and leadership of the team. And again, a very important format that our focus for us will be playing as a team. The best experience they can get is playing in high pressure games and finals, and you only get there by playing together. You don't get there by playing individually. Move to the under 14s, and it's a step up. Step down from where the 15s are at in regard to some of those things I spoke about. In this squad, there are only 12 players, and the reason for that is because a number they'll move up next season, and there's an under 13s underneath them, so there doesn't need to be huge squad numbers. If we have injuries or player availability, our plan is to play some of the under 13s up into the team to get them some experience, rather than have a large team and then roster players off. Again, basically the same format as the under 15 and a halves with 2 one-day matches and a 2020 competition. Again, we will be starting to move towards primary skills with these players, but it will be a bit dependent on where the team sits, and they may get more opportunities with their secondary skills. But we're starting to have those conversations and starting to make some of those decisions, and certainly by the end of the season, the team will be evolving into that space. Now, if you move down to the under 13s, and I've included the Junior Buffs program, which is the academy as well, as part of this, because the philosophy is fairly similar. Obviously, the squad, there are 17 in the under 13s and 12 play each match. So you'll see from that there will be more rotation of players due to those numbers, and we do tend to have the whole squad play relatively evenly across the season. And we'll introduce some other things that will be some local rules from my perspective to ensure that we're maximising the players' opportunity to show us what their skills are. So they'll be given the opportunity through the season to bat and bowl, should they wish to. If they choose not to want to bowl, for example, that's fine. But if they want to, then we'll let them. If they are part of the bowling, for example, they'll be able to bowl full spells. We'll be looking to give them proper spells and not just an over here and an over there, so we can see how they go. We'll be using at least 2 keepers per innings. Something that we will monitor, but I'm fairly keen to introduce in the one-day games is retirement of batters at 60 balls. The reason for this is to ensure that the players are getting, I guess, a degree of understanding of pacing in innings and some urgency, and not just end up sort of blocking up an end, which sometimes in the 13s grades we can see. So this is going to be contextual on the match, it'll be contextual on how the player's actually going, and also bearing in mind that they can come back. So we have restrictions on bowling, so we're going to be introducing some restrictions on batting as well, just for these grades. The batting list will be rotated through the year. We will have a number of captains as well, so we can see what that development looks like. And we may look to include, depending on numbers of games, etc., some integration with the academy, particularly some players potentially playing into the academy teams, the younger players in the squad, because that will give them some leadership opportunities as well. as I said, with the 13s in particular, we have far less focus on overall performance of the team, i.e. winning and losing in ladder position, and more focus on the development of the players and the players as a collective. Right, training structure. Slide's a bit harder to read. My apologies for that. But essentially, the training structure is the 13s and junior buffs will train on a Wednesday night, 4:30 to 6 p.m. They'll be commencing on the 9th of October. They'll be in the nets and undertaking centre wicket practice from 4:30, and then they'll be fielding from 5:30. It's really important that we note these timeframes because we are very strict on timing, particularly with net use, because of the fact that we have both a women's program and a men's program to consider as part of the training regime that Adelaide has. The 14s and 15 and a halves will train on Thursday nights, 4:30 to 6:30, so there's an extra half an hour there. They commence on the 3rd of October. Nets, again, similar timeframes. Nets commence at 4:30. They will be out of the nets by 5:45 doing fielding and strategy sessions, and you'll see there's a bit of extra time there for things like match day planning and those sort of things. For the 15 and a halves, there may be some individual skill sessions as well that we integrate. We're looking to do that with our specialist batting and bowling coaches. The other point to make is we intend to train regardless of weather. In the past, we have cancelled game training sessions. At the moment, depending on if we have a particularly difficult summer, then maybe we might. But in the first instance, the plan will be that we'll find other things for the players to do. And I believe that, and going to those sort of more modern coaching sort of philosophies and theories, we don't just have to be in the nets or using turf wickets to be able to do cricket practice. There's plenty of other things that we're able to do. Right, I want to move now to some of the expectations of players, and this is pretty much across the board for all teams. So match day, so we assume all players are available to play. If you're not available to play, the most time to let us know is better because of the ability to roster teams, etc. We look to arrive no later than 45 before the start time of matches and commence warm-up drills, and certainly encourage you to have phone numbers of team managers, etc., available if those times are challenged with school cricket and stuff in the mornings. The toss is 30 minutes before the start time, and it's really important that the players are all there by that time or that there's been significant contact with the team, because if they're not named at that time, they don't play. What I like to do is have players sit as a team during play. It's really important and part of that education that when particularly they're batting, they're not just wandering around, but they're actually being part of that team environment and actually doing some of those things that are needed. And even when a player's a 12th man or off the field, not fielding, they're still part of the game. Drinks breaks are important that I highlight that drinks breaks are for coaching. So, and for a break for the players. They're not designed for the players just to wander around. So they're still deemed to be in play for us at those times. The match day coach is in charge of the group at all times, and that includes the drink breaks and between batting and between innings, and during the batting innings while they're sitting waiting to go in, or if they've already batted. Now, the only exception is the tea break. There is a designated tea break, and there's approximately a 15-minute period where players can mingle with supporters, catch up, do things that they need to do. Now, they can mingle during the day if they need to, particularly when batting, but they do need to talk to their coach about that, and they need to make sure that they limit those times. All right, training. Again, training is a really important part of the development. So we do assume that all players will be available to train. And training plans are developed on this basis. So the later notice we get if a player's not available, and look, sicknesses and injuries and other things do come into play. We understand that. But it is really important that we know sooner rather than later if a player is unavailable and the reason for that unavailability. Please use Team App to advise us. It's really important that you tick the Team App sections when every week, particularly if you're not going to be able to train. We try to be ready to start at 4:30. Now, again, some players that can be challenging with school finishing, etc. So just talk to your coach about that, or your match day coach. But essentially, every minute after 4:30, we're not using the nets is a period we can't use. We'd like you to wear your ACC training top, which most will have, and also floppy hat, the ACC floppy hat if possible. It is just a sun safe sort of message thing that we're working on this year to improve the understanding of those things. So having the floppy hat would be useful. We ask that only players and coaches are in the net area and also around the oval where training's going on, and this is really just a safety issue for the club. Like I said before, we'll have lots of Field exercises will have lots of non-net sessions, and we will be increasing our use of video this year. So please be aware of that. And if that presents an issue for anybody, they please need to tell Rick, the junior coordinator, as soon as possible. All right. I did say I'd have a specific focus on T20, and it's important that I highlight this. This is for the first time SACA are looking to introduce a window for T20 cricket, which will go across all grades, first grade, second grade, through down to under 13s. So as a club, we will be moving to focusing really strongly on T20 in that period of time, and you will see a change in focus at training. You'll see a change in focus on tactics and strategy, and we really are going to look to embrace the T20 concept. I'm also hopeful that we'll be able to slightly alter our uniform in the juniors to be able to use our coloured training top during the game. So no extra need to buy anything. It's just the ability to use it in the match. All right, I think it's important that we recognise that this is now a significant part of the cricket landscape, and as a Premier Cricket Club aspiring to produce top-level cricketers, this is a part of the game that we really need to focus on appropriately. We're not doing it at the dropping of all other things, but it is certainly a part of the game that we need to take seriously. In the year ahead, we're looking to improve our offering by doing things like having some individual coaching and development opportunities, particularly at our 15 and a half squad level, and that includes the use of our club coaches for batting and bowling. And again, that's part of developing them into being able to move into that under 17s and then senior levels. We're increasing the number of academy matches available to junior buffs and the under 13 squad, and that's being worked on at the moment. We're spreading our junior trainings over 2 nights, and this will provide greater access to facilities and more one-on-one time for the players. We're looking at using Frogbox more, as I said before, particularly at selected matches in the 14s and 15 and a halves, but also as a coaching tool. And I'm also looking to collaborate and are collaborating with SACA to have some masterclass sessions. All right, so that's the end of the presentation in relation to this season. If there are any other questions or queries, they can be directed to Rick as the junior coordinator of the Adelaide Cricket Club. Thank you.